4 words that never changed your life. I'll think about it. How many times have you been in a situation where someone asks you to do something and you're like, I'll think about it? It's like a natural response or go-to when you probably are not going to do the thing, right? Let's just be honest. Are you really going to think about it? Or us Christians will say, oh, I'll pray about it. Now, I'm not discounting prayer and the power of prayer and the need for communication with God, but you should be on a daily walk with our Savior, that like it's a daily conversation. It's not necessarily just a yes, you have designated prayers, but it's a continual prayer, a prayer without ceasing, a conversation. You should kind of be in communication with Him all day, every day. So do I think I'll think about it is a cop-out? To a large degree, yes. And again, I'll even label that I'll pray about it as kind of that too. I'm not saying that all of that. So before you come hating on me in the comments, I'm not saying that you shouldn't pray about things. You absolutely should pray about them, but you should be in communication so much with the Father that you kind of already know like His calling or His next step in your life. God is a God of multiplication. He wants to multiply your efforts. He wants to, just like I talked about yesterday in my coffee chat about goals and dreams, and how realizing that like He has planted in your heart like goals and dreams and things that you want to accomplish and do, but it's always matching them up with like kingdom goals, right? So is it just a selfish motivated goal, or is it a kingdom goal? Is it something that God truly wants you to foster and steward well? And so it's this constant kind of balance, but it's interesting though. I find myself saying, I'll think about it often when it's like something that I'm going to say no to. I just don't want to say no in the moment to maybe hurt somebody's feelings, or maybe it just buys me time. So the 4 words that never changed your life is I'll think about it. So I want to encourage you that God is a God of multiplication. He's a God of waiting. He's waiting for you to take the first step. So if you're feeling it in your heart, or you're constantly reminded of it in your brain, and you have waited, you know, hey, is this just a selfish desire, or is there weightiness to this for the kingdom? Is this a calling in my life? And it doesn't have to be that deep, but is it something that I know that God said is good? Like, is it serving someone? Is it loving on someone? Is it dying to self first? Those are the things that you have to think about, and you just have to say to yourself, instead of saying, I'm gonna think about it, you're like, I'm gonna do it. And I'm gonna physically, I'm gonna step out in faith. I'm gonna step out in faith, and God is gonna show up. He's a God of multiplication, and He's got you. He is waiting for you to take your first step. And you know, this is something I've always felt very strongly about. Like, less talk, more action. Less saying I'm gonna pray about it, less saying I'm gonna think about it, and more stepping in and doing. Again, don't come hating at me in the comments. I'm not saying not to pray about your decisions, but it should be a continual conversation that you know if God has planted a seed in you of a desire of something that would help to grow His kingdom, whether that be in your workplace, whether that be living abundantly for leading your family, dying to self first and helping others. Those are easy yeses, right? And so all of us too often will say, I will think about it as I'm going to shelf that because I don't really want to think about it right now. And I really don't want to tell you no. And it's just an easy kind of way out. And it's much like resolutions, right? So I asked kind of a temperature gauge of like where you were in comparison to January 1st. How are you doing? And all those things. And I just want to encourage you, if it's still ringing in your heart, if you're still dreaming about it, you're still thinking about it, there is an absolute reason. And I'm asking you and lovingly reminding you to step out. Like, literally, faith is action. It's stepping out and saying, God, I know You've got me. And I know the next step that I'm going to take, I may not know exactly what that holds. I may not know A plus B equals C, but I know that You are a God of multiplication, and I know that You will lead me. I'm going to seek You first, and You're going to lead me. So step out in faith. I don't know what that looks like for you. Maybe it's a career change. Maybe it's serving somewhere, and it lines up with kingdom values for you. Step out in faith, my friend. Step out in faith. If it's something that you've been trying to do that's new to bring extra income into your family, whatever that is, step out. At that person that you've been wanting to talk to and share your testimony and share Christ with, step out in faith. God will meet you there. He is waiting for you to move. It's like the walls of Jericho. Those walls did not come down until they marched around the seventh time and blew their trumpets. He was waiting for them. He was waiting for them to march. He is waiting for you to take the next step. Take that step in faith. Stop questioning what God has already told you. You've prayed about it. You've already thought about it. God's saying, sweet daughter, sweet son, take a step out in faith. I will meet you there. So I want to encourage you today, whatever that looks like for you. It's going to be different for everybody. It's been a prayer that you've been praying for a really long time, or a thought that you've been thinking for a really long time. He's asking you to step out in faith. And even in your deepest of despair, even in my circumstances of despair, I know God has called me to do things that I question. And then I'm like, why am I questioning that? He wants me to step out in faith. I know that He has me in this season of my life. Step out, friends. Step out in faith. Allow your action, your stepping out, for God to multiply and totally show off in your life. I had to talk about this morning as I grabbed this mug, because it says, right here, it says, this year is all about setting goals. Yeah? Because that's how we feel. In the mornings, we're like, we're going to get this done. We're going to crush this. We're going to do this. And on the back, it says, starting tomorrow. So it's a little funny this morning. I know that's how you feel. It's how I feel so many days. And so many times I feel just overwhelmed with grief, overwhelmed with my circumstances. And then I remind myself, who's got me? Start today, my friend. Start today. Step out in faith. He has you.